Hello, our lovely Girl Awakening listeners. Welcome to 2023. I'm Jo Hendy from the Sacred Sister Project.
I'm Amanda Parker of Mayala Organics.
Come with us as we journey into this week's Awakening episode.
I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
Hello, Amanda.
Good morning, Jo.
Here we are again, Girl Awakening.
Yeah, a bit special this morning, online again in Zoom, when we're getting to love these, like moving into this opportunity to communicate with you all through a little bit of text.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And people who aren't in our amazing creative community that, you know, we're reaching out to a lot wider.
Far and wide.
Oh, far and wide, yeah. Dimensions.
Yes. I love that.
So we have a really special lady with us this morning. She's an intuitive energy healer, a transformation teacher, a cacao ceremonial facilitator, which we're all a bit
we love that.
Yeah. And most beautifully of all, a wife and a mama. And her name is Lisa Camilleri. I love that name. I have a bit of a connection with that name. I might share for you later.
Absolutely.
But Lisa's come across our path, and we're just really excited to bring her to you today. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, thank you so much, Amanda and Jo. It's a privilege to be here speaking with you both today, so thank you.
Yeah, welcome, beautiful. It's so lovely to have you here. Finally, we've been swinging back and forth trying to work out, can't we?
Yeah,
And now we've worked out Zoom and dates have aligned, and here you are. So welcome.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to jump straight on in because we've had a little chat beforehand and we've stopped.
To flow.
So the question is, when did your Girl Awakening begin?
Well, the real awakening, this is a great question because I listen to a lot of your podcasts and it gets me thinking, when was my personal awakening? And I think a lot of it was stemmed, like now knowing what I know, a lot of it is you can see the pattern work from such a young age. Yeah. But really it was in 2012. I met my husband, who's the father to my daughter, and before that, I was really shut off. I was closed to everything and just living in tunnel vision. I was an athlete, represented Australia a few times at the Commonwealth Games as a squash player, and that really consumed my life. So I had this tunnel vision, and all I knew was squash and how to push my body to its limits and train. And then I had an injury, so it probably started before 2012, but I had an injury and I was out of the game for like 18 months. And during the injury, I was living at the AIS house, the Australian Institute of Sport house, and surrounded by athletes all training, coming back and forth. And I was miserable, just sitting there and thinking, it was never getting better.
Wow. And
I remember a girlfriend of mine said, look, you need to do something, you need to get out there. So I started, and then I met my husband, and we quickly fell in love. Like straight away I felt a huge connection. I guess in 2012 we started living together, and he just opened my eyes to this whole new realm. Like,
beautiful.
We started doing night watches, so we were going to Mullaney out in the hills doing some night watching.
What's just for myself and some listeners, what's night watching? Is that just like watching the stars, or what is that?
Yeah, it is, but it was done through two different ladies we were going with, and they would sort of set the circle, open the space, really set intention. So we're only bringing forth, good spirits, good vibes.
Wow.
And literally just gazing at the stars. So we would, start like 9, as soon as the sun was starting to go down, and we would be there until 2 a.m. gazing at the stars and just seeing stuff happening in the sky, lights flashing, things traveling around. And
wow,
and
so nice, isn't it, when you're outside there in that time of day?
It's beautiful. I love it even from today. Like if it's nighttime and I'm going for a walk outside, I just look up at the sky, and it's just like you're just connected to these, I don't know, I feel like an energy, like you're just connected. And I guess for me it was a trigger on there's more to life than this tunnel vision that I've been living all my life. And I was to be honest, I was a bit weirded out at first. I'm dating this guy and he's like looking into extraterrestrials and UFOs, and we're going night watching, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah.
I was just thinking that actually, because a lot of people when they first start to open, it's usually a book or someone says something that you question it, but he's like thrown you in the deep end. It's like, hey, look up here,
all the celestial connected.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess for him as well, he was saying that I was his awakening. So before we met, he had a vision, he saw me, and then all of a sudden, we met. And I really feel today that because we're such a powerful team and a family, and we've done so many different things in the last 18 months, which has changed my life completely. And I think we're just sort of flowing together in a way, and we're just really trying to just be as open as possible and listen to source and just follow. And I think we were brought together for this special reason into doing what our future is calling us to do. But it's it was definitely meeting Marcus, and then as you start researching and discovering things and different doors open, and you just start but I was still playing squash at the time, and I kept playing until 2017.
Wow.
So and that was also special, being with someone who was very understanding, because I was away for months at a time competing and playing, and he was really supportive from the get-go. So it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we had our daughter in 2019, and I think that sparked my intuition ability. I mean, I know I've always been intuitive, but as soon as I become a mum, I really had a strong intuition, and just followed that through all the pregnancy, and then bringing her up in the way we want to bring her up. And it's like I don't even question myself. You just have this like deep inner knowing, and we've just been following that.
To have that trust in your voice and in your thoughts, and in your actions, and follow through with your actions. That maternal instinct, that sixth sense. It's a real step into that part of yourself that is always there, but it takes becoming a mother to trust that part of you, and for the child, if nothing else, and then you do it for yourself because it feels so right.
And it's funny because the different views that we have or perception we have around that, like for me, I think straight away your partner, you, and then this child that's coming through, that's opening up new areas and opening you up to new areas, that whole connection of the three of you.
So beautiful and very powerful. And once I gave birth, I was also in that time, it was only 2 years of coming out of being an athlete, and I was a bit lost in life. I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to help people, so I sort of dabbled in the coaching while I was playing, just to get a bit of pocket money as well, because you didn't make a lot of money in squash. So I was coaching on the side, and I actually felt I was probably better at the coaching than the playing. Like the playing, for me, I had to work bloody hard. I wasn't talented at a degree, but my natural personality wasn't a competitor. So I had to really, and it took so much energy out of me to get into that zone, especially being in a individual sport.
And
I always knew
squash is hardcore. Like you're constantly switched on. It's like sports that has the highest heart attack rates. Because it's so dynamic. You just pumped the whole time. You don't.
And it, matches are going over an hour, so you got this full focus. And I always said to myself, like, this is not my calling. Like, I know I'm very good at it, and I'm very good at dedicating myself and being 100% committed to it, but I had to work bloody hard at it, and the teaching of the side of it just become a lot easier. But I think it was because I was just I feel like I'm a good listener, and people feel comfortable in my energy, and I was able to coach people differently. Everyone takes in information so differently. So being now where I am, I feel like this whole sporting journey was just a learning process in order to get me to where I am now. It was so many lessons and so much healing going on as well. I mean, as a little girl, I had separation anxiety. Like, I was so terrified when mum and dad went away. I was always had these thoughts that there'd be a car accident or something would happen. And then I was just thrown in the deep end when I got a scholarship when I was 18. I had to start traveling the world on my own. It was like the whole process was just constantly putting me out of my comfort zone. But I feel now that it was just a process of healing myself and learning. And then I guess during that phase, so I had Mabel in 2019, so it was only 2 years, I was not an athlete, and I started coaching and thinking, maybe I was constantly thinking, what is my mission? What am I meant to do now? And I think that also comes from being an athlete where you're so goal driven.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I didn't really have any goals apart from, obviously being a mum, that's a huge goal in itself. But I felt just this inner calling, like I need to be doing something on a big level, and I didn't know what I'm meant to be doing. And then I came across Trev's course, Boot Camp for the Soul, and I did that.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just life transforming. It definitely. So I did that in July 2020, and I had a lot of childhood trauma, a bit of things that happened as well, and I was still holding on to that trauma, which made me feel so stuck. So through Trev's course, I was able to process that, and I moved so much energy. Like, it was just crazy. His little fireplace where you write things and put in the fireplace, it was just brilliant. And then I will
pass that on. He loves hearing the feedback.
It was so lovely. And between that and obviously listening to Pete's podcast as well.
Yes.
And so that was where I was at then, and it was so, just the timing of it was just perfect.
This was when you were 20, Lisa, or did you? When you were 20,
No. So this was in 2020.
20. It was. I thought you said, that's what I'm saying. Like, the timeline is just yesterday, really, a blink, isn't it? And
I think it would be. I'm 40 now, so whatever, mid 30s or something.
So this is beautiful, because there was a whole planetary shift occurring right now of what you're talking about back in 2020, and you're just literally being dragged along with it.
And
the macro,
it was crazy. And then Marcus, my husband, his name's Marcus, and then he sort of he had a good job in Brisbane, but didn't like it. It was just 9 to 5 doing the thing, and he was missing us as a family. And we just really said, look, we want to be together. We want to, especially as Mabel was only a year and a half or 1 year old, so we missed her first year of work, and he hated it. And we started doing a vision board, and our kitchen wall of our house became our vision board. So we would have friends walk into our house, and they'd be like weirded out, like, what's going on here?
Cool. Who cares?
It was the wall that, you're there cooking meals all the time. So we're staring at this wall all the time. Let's create our vision board. And on our vision board, we had a map of Australia. We had a motorhome. We had the ability to help and offer knowledge to people, because I really feel strong with that. And then all of a sudden, end of 2020. So I did Trev's course mid 2020. Then end of that year, the people we were renting the house off said, we're going to put it on the market. We're going to sell the house. And we're like, maybe this is like our kick to, do what our vision for, what we were wanting to do. And we then started looking at motorhomes, and found a motorhome. Literally a week from the date we had to move out of the house, moved our whole life into a motorhome. And Marcus said, look, let's just do a national squash coaching tour. Take the family on the road and take your coaching knowledge to the people. And being a squash player, I knew, coming from North Queensland as well, that's where my family lived, I know that squash coaches never get out to rural squash clubs. So
they're so keen to want to learn and have that experience of one-on-one and engage. That would have been extremely rewarding, I imagine, to connect with everybody.
Oh, it was so fulfilling. Like I got a list of all the squash clubs that are still available, and pretty much 100% of them said, "Yep, sign us up."
Oh,
So we said, "Let's do this for a year and see what happens." So yeah, off we went, and we traveled Australia for 12 months. I think we got to 38 centres, and I think I got on call with over 600 people. So
wow.
and it was so fulfilling, like just seeing people's games. Like people have been playing for years for, you know, fun and fitness, and never ever had a lesson. So the transformation, like within such a short period, like
Wow.
we were there for 3 days, sometimes 5 days, sometimes a week, depending on what the club wanted.
Yeah.
And you could just see people's energy lift, their game transform. The game was, you know, just, yeah, it was so lovely.
Yeah. So cool.
What an incredible step into that part of you that wants to help people, like for all those years of being a professional athlete and excelling in your sport, to then share that with people one-on-one in that way. Such a gift for both of you, isn't it? Like both.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And you know, brought the family together. It took us out of the city, which we're so grateful for now. And we did it, the timing of it was just as COVID was hitting as well. So, and I didn't want life for Mabel to be in lockdowns and all of that stuff. So being on the road was fantastic. And we went north. So from Brisbane, we went up to Mackay, which was our first. And then we went to Ingham. And then we went to Northern Territory. So for the whole first year, we bypassed all of COVID. And it was brilliant. Like, it was just so good. But then all of a sudden, pardon?
To feel so free in that time, Lisa. You know?
Yeah, and actually free is such a nice word, because on the vision board, freedom was my word that I had on there. Is I just wanted freedom for the family. And
beautiful.
Yeah. And so yeah, we were doing it, and then all of a sudden, after the 12 months, people said, look, come again. So we started our second lap. Wow. But the second lap got a bit more difficult. Fuel prices went crazy, and people, I think, through COVID, people stopped playing a lot of sport as well. So it was a bit difficult. And then all of a sudden, I started getting sick, and I started getting visions as well. And I really, in this time, I really started meditating. Most days I'd get up and meditate. And it's like I was starting to get this inner vision of I was going in a wrong direction. And I had a feeling, I kept saying to Marcus, I know this is not my sole purpose. I know I'm meant to be helping people at some form and way. I don't know. And I also saw a clairvoyant and another friend who's quite close with spirits and energy. And both of them said, wow, like you're a healer. You got such strong healing energy and abilities. Yeah. But that frustrated me, because again, I was like, how am I meant to be a healer? I'm a squash player. Like, what am I?
What do I do?
don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I had a process of writing.
Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of hearing you like too. I'm just feeling that thing of going through around the first time and the joy of meeting people and sharing what you do in a fresh way, in an innovative way, and the freedom. But then going back around the second time, it becomes like mundane or chore, and also people are in a bit of fear and confusion and things like that because of, you know, the COVID scenario. And so people's receivership of what you have to offer is in a different space as well, isn't it? So
and
a
also,
lot of things.
And also spirit saying, look, we gave you a taste of freedom, and now it's time to move on to the next thing. Don't go back around. Don't
Yes, so true. And I think also in that time I started putting in squash alchemy, which I started this program.
Wow.
Because a lot of the clubs didn't have any juniors. So, and they were saying, look, we want juniors, the sport's dying, blah, blah, blah. So I created an online kind of levels program. And it was also a coaching guide. So coaches or volunteers could run programs. So they had all of that. And yeah, to get to the point where I was like, I don't think this is what I'm meant to be doing. I kind of felt confused. Like you said, it was very confusing. And I've created this, I've created the freedom for the family. and we're doing it, we're enjoying it. This is what we've visualized, this is what we've manifested. What's wrong with me? Like, what's happening? And yeah, I just, on a physical level, I just started getting sick. I couldn't get better. So it was my whole body just shutting down, saying stop. And then I had this dream one night. I remember I was walking to coaching, saying goodbye to the family in the motorhome, and this big brick wall appeared on my path, and it said going the wrong way. Big sign.
That's pretty, like, you know, that's pretty what's the word, like, you know, significantly big message.
Yes. And I came home and I was just crying, and I said, look, I said to Marcus, I'm so sorry, but I can't do this anymore. I just can't. And I felt sorry because I knew if we stopped, then he would have to go back into working in the matrix and that, and he just said, look, it's okay. Like, if you can't do it, then you're sick and it's really causing you stress. And then we changed direction. And then we both said, you know, where do we go? And we knew we didn't want to go back to Brizzy. We've been into Nimbin a few times. We've been here camping, and then on our trip we also stopped here for a few weeks just to have a bit of a break. And fell in love with the community. Just absolutely just fell in love with the people, the community. Mabel made so many friends. And we both said, Nimbin, let's go.
Amazing.
So so we're still living in our motorhome. We're here at the caravan park. We've been in the motorhome now for nearly 3 years. But this is home. And I mean, the last, like, when I was getting sick as well, let's backtrack a little bit. Actually, I've missed a big step. When I saw that clairvoyant, I mentioned I saw a clairvoyant. She said, you're a healer. And 2 weeks after that, I got an email from Dr. Arena Webster. She's on the Gold Coast. She's an intuitive energy healing practitioner, and she teaches people how to heal and how to become a practitioner. Anyway, I've been to a few of her workshops. Marcus has been, and saw her a few times as well. Anyway, she sent me this email just out of the blue saying, my certificate course is starting and I'm offering a small group of people 50%, and you're one of those people.
Oh.
I know.
You are. In the universe. Please take it.
And I didn't have, you know, the money at the time, and I said to Marcus, this is the universe saying, here, this is, and I said I can't ignore this. Like, I really have to do this. Came up with the money, and then did the course while we were still traveling, while I was still coaching, and absolutely loved it. It just opened this whole new world, and going, I could feel my heart just thinking, this is what resonates so much more.
Breathing into that, you just
beautiful.
And I got 100% on the final exam as well, and she was like, you know, this is pretty crazy. Not many people get this, because I guess a lot of the people that were doing the course, and a lot of people do the course just to heal themselves.
It's often it's something that, you know, people would describe as their awakening moment, because they're looking for something to transition them from one space to another, which is kind of what you're describing as well. But often when people are doing those kind of courses, there's lots of distractions, or there's a process involved and things like that. So to kind of really dive into it and be dedicated to get 100%, it's like you're like, you know, your wings are just spread out, isn't it? Just going, now I'm flying.
It was got a tickle, sorry, but and then a few weeks after that, she said, I've got the diploma course happening as well. So I went ahead and did it, knowing that, you know, this was my calling, and absolutely loved it. Got 100% on that and final exam as well. And then all of a sudden, we came back to Nimbin, and I had to heal a bit. I was really exhausted from being on the road, running my squash business, studying and being a mum, and just it took a lot out of me. Sorry.
Because when you said about developing your squash course, your online course, I mean, Jo does online facilitating as well, and she's developed all her own course with the Sacred Sister Project. It's no small feat to develop that that teaching. A lot of work involved, and so even setting all that up would have taken a lot of focus, dedication as well. So it's describing it as a step, but it's like it's a big chunk of a step.
Yeah, we did a lot. Like I was coaching, in the towns, like 8-9 hour days.
Wow.
And then after that, Marcus and Mabel would come along, and Marcus would be doing, so then we'd spend another 2 hours on filming. So I'd got stuff to do, lesson plans and things for the coaches. And then in my days off, I was putting videos together. So I was doing a lot of it. I was doing everything. I didn't have anything outsourced. And I guess, so now being here, in the last 6 months, I've just cut cords with squash. I mean, so grateful for everything that it showed me, everything that my heart was so open to the sport for so many years. But I was just getting frustrated in the end, to be honest, with the industry as a whole. And, it is a bit of a dying sport in Australia. And just, I was getting frustrated with, what things are happening in the top end. And after seeing the communities and stuff, giving them some love and energy, and seeing their little clubs transform in such a short time.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't do it with one family. So
yeah, and plus the exhaustion would have been partly because there was a part of you that knew that it wasn't part of your plan, part of the future plan, and you were kind of just trucking along, doing what you could do in that time. And your energy was getting zapped because you knew somewhere that it wasn't where you were supposed to be.
Yeah. It's almost like a paying back in a way, isn't it? Like, because how old were you when you started squash, Lisa? I think you shared.
Yeah, I was like 5 years old when I started the sport.
Wow.
So that's like, what got you into squash? Were your family squash players, or?
Mum played socially. We're from Tully, so Tully is like the wettest town in Queensland. It rains a lot.
And find something to do indoors.
Mum played tennis, and it was always rained out, and she was getting frustrated, and then she just said, I might try squash, being indoors. And she loved it. We were at squash club like 4 days a week, and being a little girl, I was there. I grabbed the racket. I mean, I've got a brother as well, but he just wasn't sporty at all. He was very good at it, but he just didn't have that focus. But I loved it, and to the point where I'd take a ball home and I'd be hitting against the wall at home. And so it was just something I loved.
And obviously great motor coordination skills and stuff like that, and probably that quick brain as well, like for those to be adept at such a young age.
And so just recently I've decided that cut cords and start this new journey. And so it's all very new and very fresh, but I mean, I've been doing a few sessions on people, and I mean, my first ever session last year on someone, I was nervous going into it, but it was like my whole soul knew what to do. Like, I knew how to set and open the circle and how to work through his traumas, and as I'm doing some Reiki and energy healing and removing, clearing his chakras, I started getting visions. And I remember getting this vision, which I never knew I had this ability. And I said to him after the session, I don't know if like a green table, I had this vision of like a sanded back green table and your mum being really happy about it. And his just tears came rolling down. And he said, just after my dad died, I fixed this table for mum and I painted it green. And it was just like, wow, like this is so powerful. And so, I mean, the last...
So affirming as validating,
well. And so it's been just beautiful. And really for me, it's just been letting go and just allowing this process and having trust in the universe. And when I first got to Nimbin, which was 7-8 months ago now, I had to heal first because I was so exhausted from everything. And I was going on these walks every morning up this hill into the forest, and that's when I started listening to you guys. And every morning I'd listen, and I was getting so inspired and like really loved it. And I remember just getting on top of the mountain that I used to walk off, and I sort of talked to the universe there, and I was like, oh, I'd love to be on the show. And then it just, like, again, 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, you know, I think I liked your page and I sent you a comment, and all of a sudden you sent me an email, and I was just like, wow, this is,
Oh,
yeah.
I am. Well,
just imagining that feeling on top of the mountain and you calling out, and we're part of that space that you're in. It just feels really amazing, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you for
reaching out,
listening.
Yeah,
you know, just not to the podcast, just listening. You know, just listening.
Yeah,
because this is the thing. You know, we hear so much and we don't listen enough. We don't. You know, we brush it off as, oh, that can't be right. That's not, you know, we self-invalidate continually. And it's so beautiful to hear you come from a background of such intense, like high pressure sport. And when you say, oh, wasn't that good? You were in the AIS. So I know you were good. And there's a lot of discipline and all of that in that sport. And that's a massive conditioning, you know, that's a conditioning that you've been in for a long time. And to then so easily and gracefully step out of that is so beautiful. Like, you need to really, I know you don't really need to do anything, but
we'd like
just
to say
from me to from us to you, you know, that is massive what you have walked and where you are now. And I would never have picked that, you know, just by sitting in your space. You've got such a beautiful, graceful space.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And as I was mentioning about with the AIS, when you're describing as a child having separation anxiety, and then to go as a teenager and be living in the AIS, you know, I mean, that's, you know, we've known different children that, you know, gone and done that, and it's a huge experience to move away from family and home and be with, you know, an amazing group of people and dedicated coaches and things, but you're on your own, even though you're with so many amazing people, you know, away from mum and dad and all those things. So
it was preparing you.
It was.
Yeah.
And look, those 17 years that I was a professional squash player, I look back on it now and they were bloody hard. Like you said, like every, like traveling away, being away from family, training sessions, I was constantly pushing myself out of my comfort zone. But for some reason, I kind of like had a love-hate relationship with it. But I think it was just the whole process of the journey of, growing me as a person. And I don't know why I stuck with it. I guess because I was good at it. And I think also coming through school, I kind of knew I just didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job and just be stuck. And I think for me, squash gave me the opportunity to have freedom. I think freedom has always been my word, even from a young girl. I kind of knew that. And being in a sports career where I was traveling the world and doing what I loved, even though it was bloody hard, like it was pushing me out of my comfort zone daily. But I enjoyed it. And
it's kind of a life skill, isn't it? I'm just thinking like what we're feeling about you now and you're in the life that is yours now, like the competitiveness as an athlete and, you know, particularly say squash or any professional sport, you really have to rise up. You know, so it's also another aspect of, you know, I guess training, you know, rise sister rise. I don't, you know, how for you now, like have that competitive nature funneling into another aspect of yourself.
I think also through, you know, doing Trev's course, I broke down a lot of barriers, a lot of that programming that I had, sport being a very ego-driven industry as well. And now as an intuitive energy healer, you've actually got to be separated from the ego. So it's very different.
Yes.
But I think it was just teaching me and understanding what the ego was, and what it's all about. You know, you don't want to not ever have ego. It's always there. It's about having the balance. And now it's the time of, you know, dropping into the heart space. So it's, it was just a massive transformation. But looking back, I'm just so grateful of the process, because I definitely would not be here today if it wasn't for the sport or for all those lessons learned through it. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And I think our questions, I think today, you know, with some of the guests, the questions literally just flow, and some of them don't really mean or are significant. But in this moment, I think they're going to be. I think the questions are going to be really powerful for you, because it'll get specific, and I think that's lovely for our listeners to hear, especially from the very the journey you've been on has been very short. In comparison, you know,
and recent.
So it's really beautiful, and it's so refreshing to hear you. So yeah, gracefully just becomes such a word for you. It's beautiful. So when we have mentioned this, but it'd be good to get a little bit more specific. When did you first notice a shift in your thoughts about the world? So I've heard you mention the Matrix a couple of times. So in view of that word, when did you, and what did you notice?
I think definitely probably when I started like dating Marcus, there was a shift on he started getting me different, just thinking of things differently. And then like I said, you start researching and you're going through little rabbit holes, and you start understanding this is, you know, how the world runs, and you see such different point of views. And so it was all that. But I guess, you know, 2012, when we met each other, that was sort of the beginning of the end as we speak today, with the whole evolution and you know, everything happening. So so it was just a process. And I think, you know, from 2012 to 2020, it was like seems to be like, or 2022, it was like a decade that the universe was like awakening people. And within that 10 years, like, all right, we're going to give you now 10 years to do some inner work, heal your traumas, prepare for the whole shift that's actually we're upon at this point in time. So so probably when I met Marcus, it started just changing, and we were both then got onto that same timeline. We were sort of on the same timeline. We started then researching and discovering things together, and then when we moved into our motorhome, it had a big TV and a satellite disc. We got rid of all of that. We said no TV. So in the last 3.5 years, we've been no television, and that's been a massive, I think, just TV is just such bad programming. It's just installing fear into people constantly. So turning off on all of that, turning off on all of, sometimes people, especially our parents, they talk about the news a lot, and we go, I don't know, we might seem naive to them because we're not following the world news, but it's been the best thing for us as a family and for our evolution.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really lovely. It takes people years to realize that, and you've done it in a couple of years. So that's really beautiful.
And I love the way you described like the 10-year preparation time, like, you know, you and Marcus, the beginning of the end when you met, starting a whole new chapter. Then what that I think is about.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I see now people they've been working with intuitive energy healing, and you know, we're at the point where we're on this timeline of change, and people have I guess I'm so grateful that I don't know, something told me those 10 years that we had to start. We just naturally started doing it. I don't know why, who knows, but it was just our process. And people are struggling like at this time. It's either you start working on your traumas and start healing yourself, or you're just going to become sick. And people are, if they're ignoring that, they're just becoming physically sick. And so and it's hard. I mean, everyone's on their own journey, but I think people are really just fearful of
their shadows.
Their traumas. They don't want to go there, but you actually have to go to the dark side in order to release that and go to the light. I mean, if they're too scared, I recommend Trevor's boot camp of the soul to a lot of people. I'm like, look, this is a great starting point, because you just have to start
somewhere.
somewhere.
Yeah, especially if you're getting the tap. We always talk about, the first sign is a little tap, and then if you don't get that, it might be a bit of a slap. If you don't get that, it's the Mack truck.
Yeah, it's so true. And I got the Mack truck. I wasn't listening, and then I just got this big stop, and I was so sick. Yeah, so that's so true. If you don't listen, you're going to get the Mack truck for sure.
And it's the as you say, like the physical sickness and how your body was talking to you, and that's the thing. Like, it's the listening, but it's responding to the feelings in your body as well. It's not ignoring those aches and pains. And we have a great tendency in society to medicate pain away. And there's a place for everything, but if we look at things a little bit differently, and we work holistically, and we try to understand why that pain's there's so many gifts in that question, isn't it? And to work to support holistically, and strengthen, put back into our bodies, rather than numb things.
That's spot on there. I feel like the body, through pain or anything that's happening within the body, depression, or if you're feeling sad, it's just signs. Like there's those pokes that you're talking about, Jo, that's telling you like something's happening. And unfortunately, through programming and just what we've been taught, you run to the doctor and you get a pill, and it just puts a band-aid on things, and it doesn't really, sometimes it might cure, but most of the times it's just a band-aid. And I'm starting, understanding now through all of my intuitive energy healing like lessons and the journey that I'm on at the moment, that a lot of our pain and sadness or depression or anything that they're struggling with is actually an energetical component first. So it's healing that energy, healing that side of it, which will then heal the physical, rather than trying to heal the physical, which will then just bandage and put something over the energetical side of it. So it's
So when you were describing about you had that injury for the 18 months at the AIS, was that a point where you sort of started to perhaps say like disconnect from the sport, or look at the sport differently, or
now you've not got hindsight,
step out of that, or the constraint, the construct of that world a little bit?
Possibly. Like I also, during that time, I knew I didn't want to be just sitting. I was in a moon boot for a lot of the time. And for me, just sitting at the house, watching Netflix or whatever, it just wasn't productive, and it didn't make me feel good. So I actually knew in this time, all right, I've been wanting a website. How about I just spend this time on creating my own athlete website? So I came across this guy who could build websites. And he actually said to me, I've got this idea of creating like a Facebook for athletes. So like a social platform that athletes can promote themselves, talk amongst other athletes or coaches. So we actually spent nearly every day of my injured time, I was helping him design this platform.
Wow.
And it didn't go anywhere, because we got to the point where he just ran out of money, and we just, I don't know, just didn't go. It didn't happen, but
wasn't supposed to.
That was a very good distraction for you.
It was such a great distraction, and it taught me a lot. I actually then started getting some, business principles, how to make websites, what to do. So that's when I then took that on with obviously our tour around Australia. I was able to do all of the videoing, and so I learned all of that without really going, all right, I'm going to do a course or I'm going to do something. It just fell in my lap. And I pretty much, just dove straight into all of that. And I had so much time. So I was like, let me dedicate this time. And I pretty much taught myself, and he taught me a lot of stuff. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe that started things. I think it definitely sparked the idea of I can do other stuff. Life is not all about squash. There's actually, I can, branch out. So it did start opening and broadening my horizons, I guess. Yeah.
When you have that physical channel that you're, it's hard to stop being so physical and so active. That's a withdrawal process in itself. but then, as you say, to then discover that there's other parts of yourself,
Mm.
that you have other skills.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, it's been a bit of a, like you say, I mean, I was going to say a process, but I mean, you sort of say, Joe, it's such a short, if you think about it, like it's had so many different changes in such a short time. So
yeah, you're being compressed into becoming who you are.
Yeah.
Like talking to a lot of us right now, it's like a funnel, you know, we've kind of had this space around us, and now the funnel's getting thinner and thinner. When
it's very pointy.
Yeah, we're down to the pointy end. It's like,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
Just a couple more breasts and push.
It's like giving birth to the new year.
I think we haven't touched base on the cacao yet. So
we'll come to
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So what kind of things we covered that?
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, I think we can. Yeah.
Have you decided to change anything? I mean, we know you've made some massive changes, but what about, you know, as like food, or like have you so those type of things?
Yeah, well, food is my intuition's calling me on food at this moment. I keep ignoring it because I love food.
Such a big addiction, isn't it? Like, seriously, we've been talking about this where it's such a big addiction for us, because we write it off as, that whatever, fast food or whatever it is, it won't hurt. I've only got this moment kind of thing, blah, 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 blah. But it has such an effect on us.
It does. I've had for a few months like an inner knowing saying I need to do a detox. So I've done a little like 2-day detoxes and stuff, but I feel like I need to do a massive detox.
Yeah.
And I have heard of the Zen cleanse. It's like a
no way. We
haven't done it.
We just got asked to do it.
Yeah.
I was
awesome.
like, oh my God. Like it looks amazing, but it's, you know,
such an incredibly well thought out program. What the people behind it obviously put so much into how they create so many different beautiful programs.
It's so bizarre how there's so many out there, and you just haven't mentioned that one.
It's like,
I think for me, doing research as well, like having the herbs that have been fermenting for so many years, to me that just resonates.
Yes,
it really cleanses out all your, intestines, takes a lot of the plaque and build up, so I feel like I need to do something like that. I haven't done it yet.
It's like a feel cleanse, isn't it, that one? It feels like that.
Yeah. Quite transformative on every level.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And my body's been saying also to eat less meat, and I'm in that process of, eating a bit more seafood and a lot more veggies and just cleaner food, really. So I have been getting a lot of intuition. We had a really bad flu like a couple of months ago. I still have this like heavy chest, hence the cough recently. And I've been having like dreams and like, again, another inner vision of mushrooms. So I wasn't like, I hop on YouTube, I'd get all these mushroom documentaries, and I was really trying to figure out what is this telling me? Am I meant to be taking mushrooms on a medicinal sort of purpose, or am I meant to be going to sort of like a magic mushroom to get more in the spiritual realm? And I wasn't sure. And then my lungs from the flu a couple of months ago being really heavy. And then I had a dream of like these pores going down my throat, and then my lungs just like go, I can breathe again. And then anyway, I started researching like mushrooms with pores, and cordyceps, if you turn the mushroom over, they have pores rather than gills. So I went into the local apothecary up the road, and I said, I don't know much about this, but I've been doing some research and I had this vision. And she said, yeah, well, cordyceps do a lot with immune system, this and that, but it's also with lung, like bronchial infections. And
amazing.
So 3 days ago I purchased that, and I've been taking my cordyceps, and I'm starting to feel it shift. So just really just trying to listen to my intuition as much as I can.
That's all you need to do. Your dreams and your intuition is so strong. Like, that's so beautiful. And it's, it's not, I'd like it to be very common, but I don't think it's that common. Everybody has their individual kind of thing that happens to them, but that's just such a calling for you.
Yeah. And it's such a new thing. So I'm like, not that I don't trust it, I'm fully in trust.
Yeah.
But I get these things and go, nah, that can't be right. And then it's like my head overthinks it or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my whole sort of process is I try and just be as open as I can to it and follow it, because each time I followed it, things have happened and it's been right. Also, I try and do a process, like once I get those visions, I then drop it into my heart space and just see how it feels.
Yeah.
And if I get this like buzzy, happy feeling in my heart, then I know that it's the right thing. So just learning from all of that, but I really got to protect my space as well. Like I'm starting to find if people around me are gossiping or I'm getting drawn into just drama, then I get shut off to that. So yeah, I've got to be really aware. And if I am, with some friends and all of a sudden they talk a bit about drama and blah, 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 I sort of got to withdraw myself, ground myself, and just really go like, it's more about just not having emotion, the connection to it.
It's so beautiful. I love the other thing too is with you, Lise, is that there's a beautiful purity. Like, for instance, I've been, I don't know whether you call it studying, learning, like inhaling, wishing, praying, and reading books and doing courses and doing this and this and that. And that can actually, like cloud you. Like it can clutter you and make things hazy, where there's nothing, it's like very pure in you, and it's just like I had a dream about this and this and this and that, and it's like just so pure.
Yes, it's and it's reminding
so
there's a beautiful girl, Nikki Simmons, who came on right at the beginning, and she was similar in that she works a lot alone, and where she's at in a beautiful place with her kinesiology and we'll say interdimensional work that she does. She's kind of chosen to stay learning direct from source.
The simplicity of that.
And as you're saying, like with the cordyceps, like there's every now and again she gets a little affirmation of how perfect that is, because that's her greatest teacher, and she's not kind of getting distracted or comparing herself. It's more of a
direct line. It's almost like a direct line.
So beautiful. And I mean, I've done a lot of, like, through my whole awakening the last few years, I don't know whether this has helped, but I have done a lot of, like, I used to go to bed most nights, and we still do, with something playing in our ears, and a lot of the times I would do like chakra clearings and opening up so I can get divine energy to come through. And I'd just Google on YouTube, some great nighttime chakra clearing or divine energy meditation. So I have done a lot of that. I don't know whether that's probably helped or
absolutely. It all helps.
Seeds. And then you're the one that nurtures the seeds for them to grow. Because before you mentioned that, or Joe brought that up about the purity, I was thinking about people like Carolyn Miss, who's an amazing medical and medical medium, even, which is like, through social media has reached so many people with foods for healing and uncluttering the body on a cellular level and things. So also the cards that we pulled today for you is the ocean, the angel cards, the ocean,
and cleanse and detoxify.
Wow.
So we're just but then
and it's funny, the ocean, because I said to Marcus, we need to go to the beach before it gets too cold again. So I was like, next week we got to go to the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. How far is Nimbin from the ocean? Is that about 40 minutes or something, is it?
I think it's about an hour to Byron.
Okay.
About an hour and 15,
drive.
Yeah.
And I've been coming down to Nimbin recently for some some people down there, and Joe's travels a bit with Trev. They do out into the country on experiences, and we've talked a lot about when you come into these places where and Nimbin is, like, in the word, is in the in that volcanic area and the scenic rim, the minerals in the soil and everything, like the energy there is just, you feel it when you come into that space. And it's very grounding, but it's also, I don't know, there's something else about it. I feel like that. So then you go to country, and like even as you said, when you went in the motorhome around Australia and had that freedom, the space around you and the Northern Territory,
there's a calling for that sacred space for you guys by the sounds of it.
I think so. I mean, I know a lot of people come here for healing. It is a very grounding, and like you said, the volcanic, there's a lot of energy here. So yeah, definitely people come to the area for healing one way or the other. So it is pretty powerful.
So do you feel like my roundabout way of bringing that in was do you feel that's like grounding but also activating for you? Do you feel like since you've been in Nimbin for this time, it's kind of activated you more?
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I think it has. Because I know as soon as we got here, my heart I really had a real drop in with my heart. I could feel all of a sudden, and I never had this feeling before. I mean, I've traveled the world with squash, but I just had this deep feeling of, this is home. Like it was just straight away. I had it. I think Marcus also had the same feeling. So it was just beautiful, and we just had this knowing of this is where we need to be. So yeah,
I love that. It's such a beautiful feeling when you can find somewhere that feels like home.
So I guess that brings us to what have you had to give up, like people or things, to be where you are now, who you are now?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned already, it's the squash world, the squash industry, and I was sort of still going, maybe I can still do my junior program. And even when we got here in Nimbin, I noticed there was nothing for like Mabel. She's 4 years old, and a lot of the sports in the area, you got to be 5 to order this, start. So I said, maybe I can start. There's no squash courts here, but I got some insurance, and we got set up to do like in the park activities, like coordination activities and fundamentals and stuff for littlies. So we did a 6-week program. But as I was doing it, I could feel straight away that, no, I need to cut ties. I need to leave this whole sort of sport industry behind in order, because it was sort of draining me, and it was taking my focus and energy away to where I need to be. And then the parents were quiet because I just started it, and they were like, you're going to sign up again. So this was over the Christmas holidays. You're going to do a term program. And I just, I was just honest. I said, look, to be honest, my heart's just saying no, I can't do this. And if I'm not into it, if I'm not 100% into what I'm doing, then I'm not going to be giving the kids what they need. So it's time. So yeah, it's been recent. Beginning of this year, I made just a cut from squash. So I had to break away from that. With that, I sort of realized as well that I actually don't have many friends from, the whole era. There's still a few people I keep in contact from squash, but a lot of them were competitors. So you don't have too many friends.
And you know what I found too? That's fantastic. You really have to be true to you, and you can't just keep playing a game that doesn't fit to your narrative anymore. And it's just not,
100%.
If Source is your greatest friend, then you're fucking killing it.
Working really hard to get to
But I mean, since I've been just honest with myself, I've made so many friends being in this community. Nimbin here is just beautiful, so starting to make new friends, which is great, but also identifying that a lot of the people that I'm really connecting with are actually my energetic family. They're my soul family. Like, I just have this, I'm starting to connect to people on a deeper level, and you just realize that, this is my soul family. These are my soul friends. So it's beautiful.
And they'll call
it's been,
they'll tell you when you're need to move here, and they'll hold you in and they'll give you space, and
Yeah.
all those beautiful
Yeah. And just no judgment, like, just be your true authentic self, which is just beautiful.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And that's freedom in itself as well, isn't it? That's so freeing.
Yes. Yeah. And I think as well, like being in this, intuitive energy field where I'm working with people, you see a lot of people, they're just, so, I mean, I don't really particularly like calling myself a healer, because I think we all have the ability to heal. So all I'm doing is I really hold space, and I give people the protocols and how to shift trauma, and how to actually just be their true self, because so many people live behind these veils and just not being their true authentic self, which is a little sad, because I think for me as well, I've always been wondering, what's my mission in life? I think through my career I was always, what am I meant to be doing? And it's just, since I've been dropping into heart space and listening to my intuition, our whole mission is to just live through unconditional love. And when people aren't their true authentic self, you can't do that. So it's a matter of helping people do that, so they can just be their true authentic self and live unconditional love as best as they can.
As best as they can. I love how you said that, because I don't actually think that any of us have felt the true essence of love. That's maybe coming into, and that's what's so beautiful in itself.
And I think it has so many layers. I think when you come to a point where you think, oh, I really feel like just so much love, I think you can always put another layer on that and continue to just keep growing that unconditional love. So it's just a journey in itself, which is beautiful.
Absolutely.
It just keeps like that, the space around you that's filled with that resonance, that energy just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And
as you're saying that, actually, I just get this tingly feeling, Amanda, of just beautiful, because it's just expanding. It's lovely.
And
the work that you guys are doing, like putting these podcasts out, it's such a ripple effect of it's spreading that love. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, we love it.
Oh, we do.
We love it. So beautiful. What do you do now, Lisa, to support yourself in staying in the moment?
Definitely meditation. I know if I don't get up in the morning, I sort of do a ritual, putting some frankincense out, doing a bit of burning, whether it's sage or Palo Santo, just clearing the space. And I just sort of so I get up around 6 o'clock when Mabel's still asleep, and just set the day. It just sets my day so nicely. I feel if I don't do that, like last week I didn't do it at all, whether I just got lazy or busy, I don't know. I just have, the days just don't go as smoothly, like it's not in flow. And as soon as I do my morning meditation, it just definitely sets the day up. I feel a lot better within myself, happier. It's like my vibration is just higher. So that's definitely a thing that I do. Water, drinking lots of water. I find if I don't drink enough water, again, it's just bringing my energy down, my vibrations sort of lower, and I feel compressed. I don't know, so definitely drinking a lot of water has helped. And they're the two main things that I kind of follow.
And it doesn't need to be complicated, does it? It just, highly resonating is highly effective.
100%. I think just making time for yourself. People go, oh, I can't meditate, I don't know what to do. Even just making the time for yourself. I mean, drawing is a form of meditation. Like if that's your thing, it's just setting that time. But another thing connected with meditation is being grateful. I see so many people just they see, whether you're looking at the negative side of things, but if you're in that sort of stuck moment as well, as soon as you think of, what am I grateful for? I've got a roof over my head, I've got a beautiful family, I've got water I can drink. Even just little things like that, just all of a sudden it just changes your mentality and it lightens your whole perspective of everything. So
And I guess in a way, what you're also describing is, as you know, it's a simple life, but it's a very full. It's an abundance, isn't it, that you're feeling within yourself in this. Yeah. So
yeah, abundance is one of our birthrights, I truly believe, and we only complicate things. You know, like you said, life is simple. If you can be open and break down the ego, break down, you know, what am I meant to be doing? The ego is the only thing that has a start and an end. Like life doesn't really have a start and end. It should be just being in the present, in the moment, and just going within. And yeah, if you're doing that, abundance will come through. Abundance will be sent to you. So yeah.
And it's not just in the way financially. Like I think a lot of people will relate abundance to being financially abundant, but it's like abundance can mean in every way, you know, love, in food, or in just life in general.
Yeah, we were teaching our daughter this the other day. She just turned 4 last week, and at that age where they don't want to share their toys to people, and anyway, this neighbor was here and he really wanted one of her toys, and we said, look, give them the toy and you'll receive something in return. Like this is what happened. Give something and you'll get abundance back to you in some way or form. So anyway, she gave them, finally gave the toy. And later on that day, they must have went to the shops and they came back with a little gift bag, like with all these little gifts for her, balloons and some drawing pencils. And then she was like, oh, wow. And then we said, yeah, see, abundance has come to you.
Hey, Mum. How beautiful to teach them at that age. That is just divine.
Yeah.
Now she's looking for that everywhere.
Yeah,
you're like,
hey, would you like a minute? Can I share
this? Back. Now you're looking for it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a trick to this. I can't be expecting it.
That's so beautiful.
So when you mentioned before about because about the cacao ceremony, like and we were asking about what do you do in your day to support yourself? Like, is ceremony an aspect of that? And
I probably.
Yeah,
definitely in my morning ceremonies, mostly just, you know, incense, and then I meditate. I do a cacao once a week. And I mean, cacao again, you know, has been such a new thing for me. And it's when we arrived in Nimbin 8 months ago, just, I don't know, I think through Instagram, I come across a cacao page and I was like, oh, wow, what is this cacao? Like I had no idea, and started doing some research in it. And then I went into the Nimbin herb shop, and it was like, I've been in the shop a few times before and never noticed the cacao shelf. And all of a sudden this day, it was like the cacao block had like the sun ray around it. Like I was like, ah! And I was like, oh, ceremonial cacao. Okay, I've got to buy this. So I bought the block, came home, did my first ceremony with Marcus, and straight away I just felt it in my heart, like such a powerful heart-opening medicine. And then through another, you know, intuitive sort of voice just said, you know, I need to start studying this and share this with people. So I did an online course and then became a facilitator for it. And then I remember, like, just before Christmas, I was saying to some friends, like, I really want to start doing cacao ceremonies in town. No one's doing it in Nimbin, and I think it would be a great thing for the community just to hold space for people and create a healing space. And then I went to a barbecue, and there was this guy playing some music, and he had a beautiful recorder, and the music was just so soul touching. And I went home and I really dropped it in my heart space. I was like, I need to contact this guy. I didn't know him. And I said, look, I loved your music last night. I was at the barbecue wanting to hold cacao ceremonies. Would you mind being sort of a music with the ceremony so we can help journey? And he just said, yeah, I'd love to.
Oh.
And then I come across Creation Cacao as a company in Ukai. So they source their cacao from South America, and they said, I said, look, I'm wanting to do some ceremonies, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, we'll send you some samples, you can try it. And I just loved their product. It was beautiful. So that's the cacao I use. We ran our first ceremony last month, and we've got our next one on Sunday in town. So it was beautiful. Really just holding space for people, setting intentions, you know, teaching them how to set intention into the cacao. Last month it was all about, what did we do, like dropping into heart space and trying to shut the mind and listen to the heart a little closer. And we drink cacao and then we just lay for 20 minutes. There's some beautiful music being played in the background, and that really helped a lot of people as well. Like through sound journeying, they healed a lot. Yeah, I have few different things. I normally have a few notepads around. If you're called to draw or write something, because things always come, they feel free to do that. But yeah, it's just a beautiful hour space that people can meditate and set intention and enjoy some delicious cacao.
Yeah, that's so amazing, because, you know, it's not one of the things that it's come across my space, but just recently I was like, oh, I'd like to try and get off coffee and maybe replace it with cacao. And I ended up with Creation Cacao out of all the ones.
Wow.
I can't believe you just said that. So I've been making them for Amanda and I. Each time we do a podcast, I bring one in and I'm like, good,
oh, good for you. Yeah.
We drink it before we do the podcast, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful space. And you know, just it feels very luxurious when you're drinking it, you know.
Yeah, it does. It's beautiful. Yeah, so Creation Cacao is my second that I tried. The first block that I bought uptown wasn't that brand, but I feel Creation Cacao is just beautiful. It's creamy. It's chopped up as ready. Like the first one I bought was in a block, so I had to grate it and chop it up. This is all chopped up, ready for you. And yeah, I don't know, I can feel it tingling in my heart and within my body as well. It's just beautiful. I really like it.
There's another one that comes from because obviously you know, with the cacao coming from South America, it's an ancient tradition of ceremony, things like that. But there's some beautiful cacao that's been growing up in North Queensland as well. I think it's Soma.
Oh, wow.
And,
yes.
Yeah, and
well, they were going to be the person I actually contacted before Creation Cacao, because I wanted something locally. I really wanted it from Australia. And I think they've got like Mexican, South American, and North Queensland. You can actually get a pack with all, you know, different ones so you can try. But the North Queensland one, they seem to be, whether it's only a small farm, they seem to be out of stock a lot.
They don't grow around. I was just before when you're talking, because I was looking up, because I remember someone, when my first experiences with cacao, the person talking about theobromine, one of the properties in cacao, and the meaning of the word theobromine is the Greek roots, theo meaning God and broma meaning food, so it's food of the gods.
Wow.
And that's part of the aspect of the ceremony, is that it's connecting you to spirit and connecting you to God's source. I think it's the Aztecs and the Mayans. They, you know, traditional tribes long time ago, they called it the foods of the gods, and they used the cacao to bring people together and drop into heart space.
So beautiful.
Amazing. So again, that's that heart space that you're feeling really expanded, feeling really
so
excited for our ceremony on Sunday. So that's
I'm excited for you.
And socials to see some of the video with that.
Absolutely. If there's any listeners that are down that way, make sure you check it out. Oh, actually, this podcast is coming.
That's all right. I'm planning to do one once a month, so it's going to be an ongoing thing.
What a good excuse to just come down to that part of the world and be away from the world, and
absolutely. So beautiful.
And have an experience that is grounding, but at the same time, you know, uplifting,
connected.
So gorgeous.
So our last one.
So that kind of leads us into, like, how do you see the world now, and what do you see ahead for us with the world?
I mean, I truly believe it's such an exciting time to be a part of this, you know, evolution, being here. I think, you know, we're going through such a process of moving and changing, and people don't like a lot of change, which is where we're getting stuck. But if you can just start processing your layers, if everyone can just start processing their layers and facing their fears, and, you know, processing that into allowing more light in, the more people that can face their dark side and let light in as a human, you know, the whole human consciousness will lift. So I don't know, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's lovely to talk to because she just sees things such on a positive note. And I was sort of saying, like, for our children, I feel like their life is going to be so different. It's just going to be beautiful. I really feel that world is changing in such a great way. I think we'll definitely see it. I'm hoping I see it in my lifetime, just a whole new transformation where, you know, we're living in a lot more freedom and being able to be the true creators that we are and create what we want to create, you know, through heart space and live that life. So yeah, I think I just think it's all positive. And I feel that, yeah, I really feel that we're going in the right direction.
I think your light's
feel
like happen, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think your light's helping it happen, Lisa.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I think your light is helping it happen, Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the collective, you know, it's about collective consciousness and everybody coming together and, you know, supporting and uplifting and staying true to who they are. And it's a very internal, you know, change. But you're a beautiful example of that. And we just need more people that are listening to their heart space and showing and leading with light.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess my last words to people is just don't be fearful. Like, really, it is hard because you have to such a change, but yeah, just process little steps at a time. Just start, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through even just, you know, turning off the news, anything that's drawing in fear, and just creating your own little bubble and fill that bubble with what makes you feel good. So
use your kitchen wall more effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wall we can make more creative. Yeah. What I get from this sharing with you this morning, Lisa, is just that, like, what you said, you know, the gift of you, like what you've gifted yourself, like in trusting yourself, listening to self and feeling into yourself, and what that's brought forward and how that's guided you is really leading you to into a very powerful space, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah.
So beautiful. Well, we're going to put everything at the bottom of the podcast so people can actually connect with you.
Awesome.
I'm loving, and I'm so I want to say grateful, but I'm going to say grateful.
Yeah, grateful
that you dropped squash.
Yeah.
And chose this path.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, you're such a breath of fresh air, and just the simplicity of who you are and where you're going and what you know is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
But I really feel that power behind you as well, like, because I'll come back to it again, like where this sport's giving you that strength and focus and determination. I feel like that's just going to continue being channeled into this area of your life where you are now. And I was laughing a little bit when you were saying about the children's, you know, I mean, it's an amazing thing to offer those children's courses and things like that. But your spirit's just saying, yeah, we've done this, girl. We've nailed this, you know, and it's a narrow path. We've got this expansion over here for all that, you know, that gift that you want to give people and helping people, you know, like you are helping the children and giving them something. But we've got, you know, you can do this over here, you know, just really feels like there's this big space, and maybe the kids each month is.
Yeah, I see a vision for my future. Like, I see myself, it's like I've got children and families that in front of me, and I'm teaching them how to do things. Like, I have this vision of, so it's funny, like when I was, you know, coaching kids, I mean, I was coaching adults as well, but I had a real connection with coaching kids, how that's transformed. And then all of a sudden going, no, you're not meant to be teaching them this, you're meant to be teaching them something else. So it's like I've always had this vision, but it's just not having the knowing or the like what I'm meant to be doing, but it's starting to unfold. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you can only just trust, can't you?
yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah.
Wasn't there when you were first traveling, wasn't what you called the children's squash alchemy?
Squash alchemy was our program. Yeah.
With alchemy in itself to align with squash, it's kind of like, there was two names here, right? Anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was funny. Like, not many people knew what the word alchemy was, and I didn't want academy because everyone says an academy, and for me, it was the whole word of alchemy is a transformation. It's bringing something that's, not so good, and then creating this much better version of it. So the word alchemy, Marcus actually came up with it, and when he said it, I was like, that's perfect. Yeah, squash alchemy. And I remember Channel 7 followed us around a little bit when we're on the tour, and they interviewed, and their question was like, squash alchemy, like what's this word and what does it mean? And for me, it was just the transformation of creating better squash players. But now I'm just trying to create people to become better within themselves and then have that trust and that love. So
so maybe it'd be life alchemy from now on, or something like that, or grateful alchemy, something,
well, I think I see how this year for me, it was sort of like Mabel still at home, and I think she's going to start kindy next year. We always thought I was going to homeschool her. Like, I was always wanting to homeschool, but she's such an outgoing kid. She really wants to go to school. She says, Mommy, I want to go to school. So, I can't hold her back. If that's her desire and that's what she wants to do, then, we can put her into school. And there's a beautiful barefoot community school in Tuntaville here. So we're going to enroll her there. So for this year, for me, it was just, still learning, still just developing me and putting my name out there, meeting people, starting some cacao ceremonies, doing my sessions, and then hopefully for next year I can have 100% when she's at school, got a bit more time, and I can really dive deep, and then creating my website and stuff next year. So maybe alchemy may be connected in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it has a very strong vibe with you.
So watch the space of Lisa.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for today. It's been incredible. We've finally got together, which has been
thank you for your patience.
No problem.
It's perfect. And just from 2020 to 2024.
Amazing.
Next year will be look forward to talking to you maybe some more about
definitely would love to touch base again with you guys at some point.
Come down for some cacao.
Yes.
Yeah, please do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for listening, and remember, all links to our guest are in the notes. Leave us some comment here or message us on Instagram how our guest today connected with you, or perhaps something you wish to share. A special thank you to the blissful Ksenia Luki for our theme song. Joe and I will be with you next week.
Bye.
Ciao.
She teaches me lessons, and boy does she sing. Her voice sways like a hummingbird, flies like a shooting star. She whispers, you were never born, so you will never die.